All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome, kings and queens. Today we are talking Cassie Ventura, y'all, which is kind of some spillover from the Diddy trial. Um, wow, Clayton Howard has come out and he's doubling down. And basically, what he's saying is he's tried to work behind the scenes with Cassie. He attempted to settle with her, to negotiate with her as a victim, the same way she attempted to negotiate and work behind the scenes with Diddy. And he's saying that she's not moving. She refuses to acknowledge his position in all of this as a victim. And man, he gave a very, very detailed statement. But before we get into that, I want to roll the clip and just do a live reaction with those of you that are tuned in real time. Let me ask you this. Some people are saying that Cassie probably should have sat this one out, taken her $30 million, and rode off into the sunset with her children and her family. What are your thoughts? Do you believe that the government had her best interest at heart when asking her to come to that trial, 9 months pregnant, due any day, to sit there through grueling testimony day after day after day? Or do you think the government had their own interest in mind? Do you think this was a healthy start for her giving birth to her third child? And the reason why I ask these tough questions, I don't think this is what she envisioned, for her third child. I don't think it's going to after let me go back. I don't believe this is what she envisioned, you know, when giving birth to her third child. Motherhood is supposed to be a beautiful thing when we think about it, right? You go home, you rest, your husband, your family, your other children are doting on you, they're doting on the new baby. I believe this is just the beginning for Cassie, in which I believe to be a very, very rocky roller coaster ride. And I wonder, had she made the decision to not testify, if any of this would be happening. I also wonder if there's going to be other male escorts coming out to say, listen, me too, was a victim of Cassie Ventura. Y'all, this is a hot mess, and we're going to talk about it. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
Yeah, Clayton Howard has come out and he's talking. And many of you are saying, go back to where you came from. We don't care. You're not a victim. You're just a sex toy. You're a prostitute. You're an escort. He's saying, no, I want you to treat me. And I want you to give me the same empathy, the same regard that you give to women, that you've given to Cassie, you've given to Jane Doe. And I'm going to play his video in the clip, very extensive. He's saying that there's a lot of women, in particular, Black women, whom he's disappointed in because y'all, these are my words now. This is Clayton. Clayton Howard is saying, y'all don't keep the same energy when it comes to men being victimized, and you think it's a game and you want people to take you serious. But when a man comes out and say, I too am a victim, you guys listen to it for yourselves. Here we go.
So good morning. I am Dave, the man who has just sued Cassandra Ventura for damages involved in the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial. And I'm looking through social media and I see a lot of the women out there, particularly Black women like myself, who choose to victim shame me and try to do everything they can to discredit me, because the truth is that the loss of the Sean Combs trial was a loss to the Me Too movement and to hating women like the women who are trying to insult me.
Hold on. He said the loss of the Sean Combs trial was a loss. Oh, he's saying that people are upset because the Me Too movement took a hit. Do you agree with him? Do you agree with him? Let's continue.
So let me tell you something, you women out there who would like to insult me. This is my story. I was paid by Cassie, Cassandra Ventura, for 8 years to be her male provider. I didn't.
Wow. 8 years, he's saying that he was paid. Now, I do know Jonathan Odie. Are you familiar with Jonathan Odie? who the FBI pulled in because of his some act that he uh he did outside of the freak offs, right? And in that interrogation room, Jonathan Odie actually stated, "I am a male slave to Cassie Ventura." And everybody thought it was funny. Get out of here. There's no way. He's aged. He's put on a little bit of weight, and the drugs. Listen, the drugs just not have been good to him, baby. So there's no way she would touch you, but come to find out, as the legal documents were entered into play as evidence, come to find out he was telling the truth. He was. I think he said for 9 years. So now you have this gentleman that says, "Listen, I also am a victim and was a male sex slave to Cassie." Now, here's the thing. If we go back and we review the transcripts, one thing that Cassie said, one of her final closing arguments, right? Her statements from the witness stand as she ended the 4 days of grueling testimony is, "I worked as a sex slave. That was my primary job within within the Combs enterprise." This man is saying, "I worked as a sex slave. That was my primary job on the behalf of Cassie Ventura." Where do y'all stand with this revelation? Do you believe him? Do you not believe him? And if you don't believe him, why?
Didn't have to be the best looking guy. I was the best in bed. And because I was the best in bed, guess what? I was given this arrangement. I was coerced. I was drugged. I was manipulated with promises of money and
Okay. This is his argument. He's utilizing the same argument that the women who took the stand as key witnesses for the government has utilized. I was coerced. I was fed drugs. There were promises made of gifts and money. Is he a victim? To those of you that are tuned in.
gifts for over a period of 8 years to continue to be this woman's provider at her expense and at the expense of Diddy.
I wanna hone in on the 8-year part. Cassie was with Diddy to the tune of about 10 years. So there was probably about, I'm gonna say either he came in 2 years after the relationship began, or he left 2 years before the relationship ended. I just wanted to point that out. So for a bulk of the relationship that she was with Diddy, he was also with her.
Now, at the time, legally, I didn't know my rights as well as I do now. I didn't create this conflict with Cassandra Ventura. She created it with me. She's the one who decided to bring up things that happened over 10 to 15 years ago to hold Sean Combs accountable for what was a partial truth.
Excellent point. He said Cassie came out and decided to take that stand to hold him accountable after holding him accountable. Follow me closely. Clayton Howard is claiming in this video, "Listen, I didn't start this. I was minding my own business somewhere in the cut, and all of a sudden somebody say my name. I don't want this out there. Why would you go do that after getting $30 million, $20 million from Combs, 10 from the Intercontinental Hotel, and bring up my business? Now you're forcing me to go into this defensive position. I reach out to you behind the scenes. Listen, I'm just summarizing it for you, okay? I'm making it make sense. I reach out to the behind the scenes to try to work with you offline, and you look at me as if. So here I am.
She's the person who introduced me to the U.S. Attorney's Office. She's the person who told the U.S. Attorney's Office about our relationship.
Wow. Wow. Hold on. Why would okay. Actually, if you want to, he has an extensive, in-depth interview. If you go to Tasha K's page, where he kind of breaks down, well, not kind of, where he goes into great detail regarding why he believes the feds, the government, did not call him to the stand as a key witness. He said he wasn't for Diddy or Cassie. The things that he was willing to say and the things that he was going to say on that stand would implicate both of them. He said there was no coercion. Diddy didn't coerce her. He's going to go into detail, and he did go into detail. He said, as a matter of fact, Cassie, Mark Agnifilo, argued the same point. He says, Cassie has a huge appetite for sex, more so than the men, and would want to go and go and go and go and go. Do y'all believe that? Is it important for you to have all of the details in this messy saga? Or are you only interested in what the women have to say? Because according to Clayton Howard, you guys don't want to hear anything. This is him, not me. He's saying y'all don't want to hear anything. You women are so biased. You're only interested in what the women have to say, which may or may not be the truth, and you have no interest in hearing all of the details. Let's continue.
So, in essence, those out there who want to hate on me, who want to say that I'm attacking Cassie, you should realize the truth that Cassandra Ventura, your idol, did this to herself. She
I'm not going to say he's attacking Cassie. I think that's a low blow. I think it's a lowbrow argument. I think this is a person that's coming forward as a witness, as a victim and saying, here is my story. Everybody's temperament is different. Some of you don't want to hear it. Some of you say, you know what? Hold on. Be quiet, everybody. Let me listen. Let me hear the man out. If he's a victim, I have a heart for victims. I need to hear it. Me personally, I'm the type of person, I'm technical. I want to hear everything. And then I'll come to a conclusion after each party has identified themselves in their role in all of this.
she exposed herself to liability when she got on the stand and decided to mention me as the male escort who was with her when she overdosed and Diddy made her have sex with him. That was a lie, people. Cassie had just woke up from sleeping 8 hours. Myself and Sean Combs were exhausted. We wanted to go home. Cassie's the one who forced that sexual encounter.
I will say this, and I don't know if it's Clayton Howard. I'm going to have to go back and look at my notes. And I jokingly said, based on the testimony and the evidence that was entered into the courtroom as an exhibit, there was a text message exchange between Cassie and a male escort where he actually had just left the hotel and Cassie's like, "Hey, come back." And he's like, "Whoa." And I don't know which escort it is, but I'm going to go back through my notes. As a matter of fact, let me go look. Let me go look. But let me tell you, the escort, Cassie's saying, "I need you to come back." And he's saying, "Whoa, I need more than an hour of rest. I know that you're a rabbit and you can go and go and go, but I need to rest." So I can say there may be a level of truth to this. Give me 1 second. I want to check my notes to see who it was. All right. So I'm able to go through my notes really quick. And let me just give, I don't even want to say a trigger warning. Let me give a warning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This guy, this gentleman that was a claiming that he was a sex slave for Cassie and also is a victim of Cassie's, there may be or there could be some validity to this. As I'm going through some of the notes that I've taken while in the courtroom. Wow. There was some very explicit text messages that were exchanged between Dave, that's him, Clayton Howard. They actually nicknamed him in their devices. She and Diddy had him labeled as SC. And basically, Cassie's texting in June of 2013, Cassie's texting both Diddy and the sex slave. But what she's saying to Diddy is, "I can't wait until we have a baby of our own." And she's texting back and forth with Dave, the gentleman you see on the screen, and they're exchanging. And he says, "I want to put that P on my face." Okay. I do believe this is the same gentleman where Cassie tried to get him to come back after a night in LA, and he said that he needed to rest. And y'all, it's very explicit. And this gentleman is claiming that Cassie gave him an STD. And I made a note here that Diddy and Cassie exchanged messages about getting tested about regarding a possible STD. Here's the problem with some of the text messages that were introduced as evidence. They didn't want us to see everything, so there was some gaps. But Diddy did respond to her, "You got to be careful." And she's like, "I'm waiting. I'm gonna go get some tests done." He's like, "We got to be very, very careful." But let's continue this, and I'll continue to go through my notes. Give me 1 second. Hold on. There we go.
People, she tells you that Sean Combs made her have sex on her menstrual cycle. I can't speak for anyone else but myself. But I know the one time that did happen, that Sean Combs was not responsible for that. That Cassie, in a drunken, intoxicated, hormonally imbalanced state due to her period, manipulated and forced herself on me during her menstrual cycle. And what I mean by that is I had no knowledge she was on her menstrual cycle because the room was completely dark. She manipulated the room. She manipulated the environment to get what she wanted, and then she totally got up like I was the one who should have been grateful. You're
Wow. He's saying he has a hard stop. And his stop is if you're on your menstrual cycle, that's a no for me as a man. It doesn't matter if I'm an escort. It doesn't matter if some of you think I'm the bottom of the barrel. I have standards and I have no desire to engage in a woman that's on her menstrual cycle. That's the first thing. He's also saying, listen, you forced me to do that because you didn't disclose that to me and give me the choice and or the option to decline. You manipulated the room. It was dark. I didn't see. I didn't have a choice. So you actually forced yourself. This is what the man is saying, y'all. We give it to you straight over here. Okay. We don't just push what we want you to hear. I'm telling you what he's saying. I'm giving it back to you in layman's terms. And I'm also trying to corroborate my notes to see if there's anything, any mentioning of this to see if there's any validity to his argument. I did go back. There was a text exchange between Cassie and Diddy. Hold on, where she did mention that she was on her cycle. And that was, let me tell you this. What date was that? Um, She did mention that. I do remember that being entered into evidence by the prosecution, and also a special agent testified to that as they were going through the charts and verifying that everything that was entered as exhibits was accurate. Okay, so there was a text message exchange, and maybe he wasn't aware of that Cassie did at one point during one encounter tell Diddy that she was unavailable because of that. Now, that may not have been in regard to the instance that he was speaking on, but I can clarify that both things can be true at one time.
on your period. That's disgusting, and I deserved more respect than that. As a man, if I had laid down with a woman and forced myself on her and orgasmed in her and she got up and it was leaking out of her, guess what? I would have raped her. So by statute, by case law definition, Cassandra Ventura sexually assaulted me.
Wow. 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 Clayton Howard, Dave, aka Clayton, is saying, I didn't know my rights then, but I know them now. And the more I go deeper down this legal rabbit hole, I'm learning that me too, me too. Are you open to hearing his story? Do you believe him? Do you not believe him? And then I want to go a little bit deeper. What stops you? If you're like, hell no, I don't believe him. What stops you? Have you done an assessment and said, why am I not open to hearing his story? See what you come up with. It'll be interesting. If you feel like sharing, please share. Please share in the chat.
I'm not looking to destroy Cassie. I've given Cassie more than a year to settle this before things got out of control. The problem is she's being supported by women like you who choose to attack male victims instead of accept the truth, which is that a woman could have lied to get revenge on the ex-boyfriend.
Wow. My question is now I want to be nosy, Clayton. How much are you asking for? Cassie was asking for 30 million. At the end of the day, she walked away with 20. And we're gonna assume that Diddy gave that 30 million, but 33 and the third probably was allotted to taxes and also a combination of attorney fees. How much are you asking for? I'm gonna ask the hard questions. That's what I want to know. How much are you asking for? And let me say this: Diddy and Cassie. I found my other note that they had a close call with with STD. There he could be. Listen, I don't know. Oh, he said chlamydia. He's claiming that Cassie claimed on his claim in his in-depth interview on Tasha K that Cassie gave him chlamydia. Let's continue.
Who broke her heart and hurt her. It happens, people. They say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and that's true. If you hurt some women, they will do everything in their power. If you hurt some men, they'll do everything in their power to hurt you. But I want to end this by saying this. Cassie did this to herself. They say he who sets out on the course of revenge should dig two graves. People, Cassie dug the grave that is Clayton Howard herself. Cassie got on the stand trying to destroy Diddy. She should have took her $20-30 million and walked into the sunset, people.
I have to agree. This is just my personal belief. As a woman that's pregnant, I don't know if her being on the stand in that moment was the best situation for her. You know, I get it. As a victim, you're wanting to come forward and help other women and open up the door for other women to feel safe and comfortable. But sometimes you got to be a little selfish. Sometimes it's okay to look at the government and say, get somebody else to do it. Not today. I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant with my third child. I'm due any day now. Now is not the time. I'm not willing to risk my pregnancy. Also, I'm not willing to risk my reputation. I've just received $30 million. I want to sit this one out. I feel like I've done enough. So I'm going to call a timeout, and I understand the gravity and the importance of this case. And I really want to help you, but not today. I'm not in a position, I'm not in a mindset, and physically, I am preparing my womb to push out a beautiful baby. I don't know. That would have been me, prioritizing the maternal health of my child. So, not only that, what type of support is she going to receive from the government, the big bad wolf, when these escorts come to blow her house down under the same clause and the same laws that the government is saying are holding Diddy accountable for? You get what I'm saying? Over the past few weeks, as I've been covering this trial, I've been very, very intentional on laying it out and saying it and calling it like it is. I said, this is a legal game of chess. And if you don't know all of the players on the board, sometimes it's just best to sit back and observe before you make your next move. And not only that, being able to anticipate the moves of each and every player that you've come into contact with over the course of however many years that you were engaged in these sexual freak-offs. Did I ever offend anybody? Was I ever the aggressor? Can anything be utilized against me? I know I've received immunity in this case, but what about over here? Am I protected from any ounce of a lawsuit? And if the government could not answer that for me, then get somebody else to do it, especially if I'm 9 months pregnant. No, sir. Yes, I understand I'm a victim, but I've received my due diligence. I've received my restitution. I'm good on Diddy. If what you say, I don't know, that would have been a position that I would have taken. Me, period. And not because I don't want to help other victims, but shit, I'm pregnant. I'm due any day now. Can I rest? Can I put my feet up? And now you've just opened Pandora's box. You've just opened Pandora's box. Will the government step in to provide any level of support? Did Cassie's testimony serve her, or did it serve the government, or is it a combination of both? Man.
People, she should have never gotten on the stand and created further liability for herself by telling more of the lie that she created to get this man sent to prison for his life. She made a mistake when she got on the stand, people. She made a mistake when she got on the stand and lied about the events with Clayton Howard.
Okay, that's his qualm. I was listening for his qualm. His qualm with Cassie is, you brought this to fruition. You told it, but you didn't tell it all. Y'all, not my words, but his. And not only did you not tell it all, you didn't really provide accurate details of the role that you played, nor did you take and accept accountability. And you lied on me. You lied on me. You're the one who introduced me you introduced me to all of these people, and for whatever reason the government decided that I wasn't good enough. And I want to talk about that. Listen, we're going to get into it. He believes that he was not chosen by the government as a key witness because he felt like he was too profound for them, that he was not going to protect either Diddy or Cassie. I'm going to say this, Clayton. I think the government was biased against you. They have an aesthetic bias. Y'all, let's talk about it. We do that over here. Come on. Let's not act like the government chose some of the best looking people to put on the stand. People that would be deemed credible, whether they were credible or not. Okay. And a lot of these people were fair-skinned people on the outside. Clayton, unfortunately, you didn't make the cut because we talk about this all the time over here. I don't care what anybody else got going on. So please don't compare my commentary to what anybody else has going on. Don't compare my commentary to mainstream media. I don't work for them. We as content creators get to say what we choose to say. And I like to go there. I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. Clayton, they didn't feel that you were worthy enough based on your looks. They didn't want to get in bed with you. They used you. They listened to you and they closed the door on you. And that's the biases that you will see in situations like this, where it's like, oh, he's too crusty, he's too black, he's too dirty, I don't like his, let's not use him. Oh, she's beautiful. He's a good looking kid. Let's get Brendan in here. White boy, graduate, Syracuse graduate, nice family. That's better. Oh, yeah, this is better. Listen, it is what it is. Okay. Let's not act like it don't exist because it does. It's a game of chess. Everyone is here to win. And I'm going to pick the best players. You were solid intellectually. You were solid with your vernacular. However, they just didn't want to get in a sandbox with you. They didn't. It has nothing to do with, in my opinion, that you would hold both Diddy and Cassie accountable. You didn't pass the sniff test. And white people have biases. White people discriminate. Those 6 white women looked at you. They probably looked at your fingernails. They assessed you. They did a one-over real quick, saw your do-rag on your head and said, hell no. I'm just telling you. I'm just putting it out there to y'all. The shit that people don't talk about. I'll say it. That's why, Clayton. Now, here's the same thing. Banna came up there, whom I believe is still struggling and challenged with using substances, right? Very bad witness. Not strong, not credible. Clearly, the defense poked holes in her testimony. Clearly, she got up there and lied. To me, she was lying. Couldn't even validate her own story. Horrible witness. But they saw more value in her than they did with you. And even though she had a jacked up lawsuit written by Tyrone Blackburn, and even though she admitted under oath that she lied about being sexually assaulted by Diddy, they still saw more value in her than you. So, Clayton, it may have been a blessing to you that these nice 6 white people didn't see you valuable. Y'all, every door that closes doesn't mean rejection. And if we're talking about on a spirit level, the spirit doesn't know any type of negativity. Either it's a lesson or it's an opportunity. This is just an opportunity, if you are a victim, Clayton, for you to tell your story. You don't need 6 white women to do that. You turn on your phone, you turn on your camera, now listen, and you tell your story. But I'm going to challenge you to do the same thing that you're challenging Cassie to do. If what you say is true, that's all you have to worry about. But if what you say is not true, just like you're saying karma is finding her, karma will find you. That's just the way it goes. There is no cheat code on life. You cannot cheat the code. And if Cassie is lying, same rule applies. If Cassie was not forthcoming, and let me just say this, I don't know, because I got there in the courtroom after Cassie's testimony. I wish I could have been there to see her body language, to look at her facial expressions. Unfortunately, I wasn't there. But by some of the evidence that was entered, I was like shocked. I was shocked. Okay. But you don't need 6 white women to pick you, to validate you, to tell your story. Just tell your story. Come what may. And if you're telling the truth, this just may be a blessing.
Clayton Howard is a victim of Cassandra Ventura. Clayton Howard didn't ask to be in a relationship with Cassandra Ventura while she was sleeping with numerous men per week. I get it. You all think I was a nasty male prostitute sleeping with women, all different women all the time. It actually didn't work like that. To have certain types of people that can pay you that well, what you really have to do is you have to focus on people who are affluent. And affluent people don't engage in activities like that. So I might have had a client once a month. The truth is, I was only a male escort for 2 years. I continued in the profession because Cassie and Diddy continued to pay me very well. And I was an ex-con. I needed money. Yes, I was trapped in the situation.
Now, see, I'm very curious. And I want to know what you say you're an ex convict. What did you go to prison for? I'm just nosy. What'd you go to prison for? Because I understand the male escort, gigolos, male prostitutes, and I'm shocked. Listen, now y'all know some of these men are out there selling their bodies. I'll never look at men the same. Not all of them. Wait, where you going? The store closed. Why you going to the store at 11 o'clock? Why you going to the store at 10 p.m.? We got food at home. Get the potatoes tomorrow. Get the gas tomorrow. A lot of these men are out here doing things. Like this case has taught me and shown me that there's a world that we have no idea about. But why was you locked up? That's what I want to know. If you're going to tell it all now.
Admit that I didn't know what to do. But does that mean I should be victim shamed because the same thing that happened to women all the time happened to me as a man? No. And for those women out there, for you black women who choose to shame me as a black man for telling my truth, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Now, listen, y'all take it easy on Clayton. He's well spoken. He seems to have specific details and he's corroborating Cassie's story in a lot of ways, but he's saying, there are some aspects of this where you withheld key information. Okay, so y'all give Clayton a break. Listen to him. At least give him enough decency and respect to let the man get his story out, just like you would anybody else. That's what he's saying. The second thing is, Clayton, let me tell you something. At least if you want these women that you're saying are black women that are judging you, take the do-rag off, brush your hair, wash your lips, wash your face, put on some chapstick, show yourself presentable. Come on now, work with us. I know the Bible says come as you are, but that don't mean come as you are as it relates to social media. You know damn well we're going to get out here and judge. That's what we do as human beings. Don't make it right, but it is what it is. So clean yourself up, brush your teeth, get yourself a nice little top. You ain't even got to show us what you got on the bottom. And if you're going to turn on that camera, then make it worthwhile. Set yourself up for failure. Help us help you. You get what I'm saying, Clayton? Let's continue.
That's probably pretty much all I have to say. You will not see me too much in the media. I don't need the public to believe me. I just need a jury of my peers and 12 people to believe me in the court. And thanks to the testimony of Cassie during the trial of Sean Combs, I have that. Thank you for watching. Stop victim shaming. Thank you.
Excellent way to end. Call to action, stop victim shaming. And not only that, he gave you exactly what his next best step would be. And that's, I'm going to take it to the legal system. I've tried to work with Cassie. I've done my due diligence. This is my public announcement. I don't need the big media. And you're probably right, because I'm going to say this. The big media is not for Diddy. It's nobody, none of these big media companies, these white folks are not going to want to talk to you. Okay. So listen, Clayton, Dave, you're saying you want the support of black women. Well, Tasha K is not the only black woman that has a platform. I have one, and there's many, many more. You get what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I would love to hear your story, but I think you've told everything. I'm not sure if there will be anything else that you could offer that you haven't shared. If you are a victim, we listen. I can't speak for them because some of you say some of them don't like you. I'm open to hearing what victims have to say. I think the more information we have, the better we can assess and come up with an informed opinion. You see what I'm saying? Now, typically, I'll pick a side because that's just me. That's the Scorpio in me. Typically, I will pick a side and I will stay there. But this is so complex and so messy and so convoluted, I can't pick a side. I'm just open to the notion of learning, hearing, and discovery. But you be careful, Clayton. And I wish you nothing but the best with the legal system. And I hope you find justice if you are indeed a victim. And if you were indeed coerced, drugged, and sexually assaulted. I think that's the right thing for me to do and say in this moment, as opposed to shaming you publicly because you are a man. I don't want to get on that side of the fence. I don't. Now, some people will, but I'm open to hear what you got to say. And y'all listen, what are your thoughts? Let's take it to the chat. Chow, is this messy or is it not messy? What are your thoughts? I'm going to let y'all duke it out in the chat. That's it. That's all.